What happens when Prince Charles turns his back on the Queen? And what if the Queen finishes her meal before her guests? Keep watching for the weird rules Prince Charles has to follow, some of which involve his name. One of the restrictions Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles have to follow has to do with food, namely shellfish and garlic. The royals are meant to avoid shellfish simply because of the increased risk of food poisoning it can carry. No one wants an upset stomach, but if you're a member of the royal family, getting sick during a public event would be especially challenging. It's been said the Queen isn't a fan of oysters, and neither was Prince Philip. They can be difficult and messy to eat, which isn't exactly very royal. As for garlic, it's all about the bad breath the food leaves behind. Camilla confirmed the anti-garlic stance at the palace when she appeared on the show MasterChef Australia. One of the judges asked if there were any foods that the royals couldn't eat, and Camilla replied,
I hate to say this, but garlic.
So garlic is a no-no?
Garlic is a no.
Because
she clarified that as members of the royal family are always talking and meeting people, having garlic breath isn't the best idea. As for whether or not Charles and Camilla totally follow the no garlic and shellfish guidelines, the answer is not necessarily. When the royal couple visited the Whitstable Oyster Festival in 2013, Charles happily downed an oyster. Now, this one isn't a hard and fast rule, but the tradition of not turning your back on the monarch goes all the way back to medieval times. Author Jane Estow shared a story in her book Elizabeth Reigning in Style about an awkward encounter that resulted from the rule. Milliner Frederick Fox told the author that when he visited Queen Elizabeth II for a hat fitting, palace staffers advised him, "Don't touch the Queen, don't ask questions, and don't turn your back." This caused a bit of a comical situation, with the milliner sharing that the Queen eventually turned her back on him, so he could make a graceful exit without tripping over one of her dogs. Whether or not it's common practice with Prince Charles, Camilla, and the rest of the family at home is debatable. However, Prince Harry showed a pretty slick way of avoiding a royal back turn while at the Royal Ascot in 2018. He was observed doing a little sideways slide when walking away from the Queen and spoke to his father standing at an angle so he wouldn't turn his back on his grandmother. After Queen Elizabeth passes away, Prince Charles will be king. The next in the line of succession is his son, Prince William. While the father-son duo share many interests, one thing they don't often do together is travel on the same airplane. The Queen needs to give special permission for two heirs to fly together because if there was a crash, the line of succession would lose its next two heirs. However, Her Majesty has apparently given Prince William and his family permission to fly together, since it would be impractical for a family with young children to travel on separate flights. A palace source told the BBC that the Queen was asked if Prince George could fly on the same plane as William and Kate on their 2013 tour of Australia, and she agreed. As the source explained, while there is no official rule on this, and royal heirs have traveled together in the past, it is something that the Queen has the final say on. The Daily Express reported that Charles had broken the rule when he flew with William and Harry as young children, but it's likely that he asked his mother for permission. A royal Christmas is different in many ways than the average citizens, but one difference actually has to do with when they open their presents. Prince Charles, Camilla, and the rest of their family follow the German practice of opening their gifts on Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day. Royal expert Robert Jobson revealed that the royal family has done this since Victorian times, when Prince Albert, who was German, introduced the tradition. Jobson added that the royals traditionally celebrate the holiday at Sandringham House in Norfolk. As he told the Daily Express, once everyone has arrived, the royal guests enjoy a traditional Christmas that includes putting the finishing touches on the Christmas tree and the giving of cheap and humorous gifts. Another royal tradition is to give silly gag gifts instead of splashing out on expensive ones. In fact, it was reported that Prince Charles once received a white leather toilet seat from his sister, Princess Anne. Packing for an overseas trip can be time-consuming and stressful, but if you're a member of the royal family, you're also required to pack mourning clothes. When a royal is traveling, they don't want to end up in an unfortunate situation like the current queen did many years ago. When Queen Elizabeth II's father, King George VI, died in 1952, then Princess Elizabeth was traveling with Prince Philip on a royal tour in Africa. When she returned to England, the new queen had to wait on the plane for someone to bring her a suitable black mourning outfit. Today, all members of the family must travel with a suitable black outfit in the untimely event of a death while they're away. This particular rule is one that makes perfect sense given the very public nature of Charles and Camilla's roles. Luckily, they've got plenty of help to ensure their bags are prepped for such a sad event. Historically, a king or queen was certainly thought of as a leader in the political sense. However, that role has shifted to more of a ceremonial one over the years. In modern times, England's monarch and their close relations must be careful to remain politically neutral. This means that the future king, Prince Charles, and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, don't make their political opinions known publicly. The Queen does have regular meetings with the Prime Minister to hear what's going on in the country, however. Newsweek noted that political neutrality is essential because the monarch must meet with representatives from other governments and perform other ceremonial roles within the government. And while it makes sense that the royals can't get involved in political issues, what you might not know is that they don't vote either. The royal family's website states, "By convention, the Queen does not vote or stand for election."
She's above politics, she's very much away from it all.
And while voting isn't banned for the rest of the family, it's not something they feel comfortable engaging in. A palace source told Newsweek that senior royals, such as Charles, Camilla, William, and Kate, do not vote. When meeting a member of the royal family, most people wonder if they need to curtsy, which topics of conversation are off-limits, and how to address the queen. It turns out that for the public, it's not necessary to bow or curtsy to the queen or any of her family members unless you really want to do so. But if you're Prince Charles, you actually have to bow to your own mother. Who the royals need to curtsy or bow to depends on ranking in the royal family. Since the queen is the highest-ranking royal, everyone bows or curtsies to her, including the future king and his wife Camilla. Another interesting and fairly outrageous rule involving food is one we can imagine Prince Charles changing once he becomes king. Per the BBC, no one dining in the presence of the Queen can continue their meal if she's done with hers first. Yes, if Charles and Camilla are being too chatty and the Queen has sped through her dinner, they need to stop eating too. The Queen is apparently sensitive to the weird rule, and according to BBC News, she has been known to reserve a little morsel on her plate to push around in order to let others finish their meals. In some cultures, it's traditional for men to ask their potential wife's parents for their blessing before a proposal. However, members of the royal family have to take an extra step, and that involves the sign-off of Queen Elizabeth II herself. Yes, Prince Charles had to ask his mother for permission to marry Camilla Parker Bowles back in 2005. Per the Royal Marriages Act of 1772. Once she gave her blessing, the monarch signed an ornate document called an Instrument of Consent. According to the Daily Express, permission is crucial for royal marriages, as it ensures that any children born in the marriage are able to take their place in the line of succession. Being a member of the royal family definitely comes with a modest, traditional dress code. Camilla and other royal women follow the tradition of wearing hats for important occasions, while Prince Charles and other royal men wear top hats to the races. Bustle noted that wearing a quality hat is a status symbol that makes royals stand out from the rest of the crowd. As for attire, looking polished is part of the job. You won't see Charles and Camilla in extremely casual clothes. Even when wearing jeans or casual trousers, Camilla typically pairs them with a collared shirt or tailored blazer. As for Charles, the most dressed down you'll find him is in khakis or corduroy trousers. If you're ever lucky enough to meet a member of the royal family, don't get nervous. Just smile, tell them your name, and shake their hand if offered. But if you do ever meet a royal, there are two little things you shouldn't do, and that's ask for a selfie or an autograph. Charles and family aren't allowed to sign autographs due to the risk of their names being forged. According to the Daily Express, the prince reportedly responds to requests with, "Sorry, they don't allow me to do that." However, Charles and Camilla do break the rules now and again. For whatever reason, members of the royal family don't typically take selfies with the public either. However, Charles and Camilla have been known to make rare exceptions when it comes to taking photos, too. Dining with the royals comes with a list of formal etiquette rules, but one of the most perplexing ones regards who you're actually allowed to talk to and when. When seated at a royal banquet, there's a strict order in which the queen speaks to her fellow dinner guests. The Telegraph notes that if a guest is seated to the left of the queen, they should only speak to her during the second course, as she would speak to the guest of honor on her right during the first course. The person on her left should turn and speak to the person on their left during the first course. That means if Charles happened to be sitting to his mother's left, he shouldn't expect to speak to her right away. Formula One racing star Lewis Hamilton was invited to lunch with the Queen and revealed that he was so excited he made an etiquette faux pas. Despite being seated to her left, Hamilton tried talking to the Queen. However, the monarch put a stop to it, as he revealed on the Graham Norton show.
She's like, no, you speak that way first, and I'll speak this way, and I'll come back to you.
Prince Charles is anything but average, and one royal rule actually pertains to his moniker. While the expectation would be that Charles would become King Charles III, according to tradition, he can actually change his first name once he becomes king. There is a precedent in history that some monarchs have chosen a different name once they become king or queen, such as King Edward VII, whose birth name was Albert.
And I think it's vital to remember there's only room for one sovereign at a time, not two.
Charles was born as Charles Philip Arthur George, and he can use any of those names when he takes the throne. The Constitution Unit at University College London School of Public Policy explained, instead of becoming King Charles, he might choose to become King George VII or King Philip or King Arthur. While it seems unlikely that Charles would decide to choose a different name, stranger things have happened in the royal world. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about the royal family are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.